Hey everybody, and welcome to Plastic Nostalgic, where all toys are nostalgic. Eventually. Now today, heading back out to outer space with these Star Wars action figures from the Obi Wan series, Darth Vader from the Dark Times. Now this one is the Retro Collection version, which models more after the older action figures. And the Vintage series is a more articulated, well-detailed action figure. So we're going to open these two up and compare them to each other. And with a old one from 1977. So let's get into it and see how they compare. Today we have the action figure of Darth Vader, the Dark Times, from the Star Wars Obi Wan Kenobi series. Now this one here is the Vintage Collection, and this one is the Retro Collection. Both great action figures, and I also have this original Darth Vader from 1977. He's missing a lot of his things, but still got him. So let's check him out and see what's inside. Let's start with the Vintage Collection. Has that classic looking packaging and the movie scene or the show scene art that you can see, the picture of it right there. Full Darth Vader looking mighty menacingly with his red lightsaber. And here he is on the inside, and he comes with his lightsaber extended and his lightsaber not extended, and a couple of extra hands, I guess you can pop on there. And on the back of this Vintage Collection, we have Boba Fett, Morak, Reva, the third sister, Obi Wan Kenobi, Wandering Jedi, Anakin, the Padawan, 332, Ahsoka's clone trooper, Din Djarin, the Mandalorian himself, in Morak gear, Darth Vader from the Dark Times, and Mandalorian Super Commando. I have a few of those figures. We might check out some more. So in the meantime, always be careful when using a lightsaber to open your toys. I really liked getting Star Wars for Christmas as a kid, because no matter how you wrapped it, you could always figure out that you were getting an action figure because of the shape of the wrap and the packaging. Here he is with that kind of darker yellow background and make this dark costume pop out. So let's see what's inside. A lot of small parts on this Darth Vader, so make sure when you're chewing your toy to chew it well. And you definitely don't want to choke on Darth Vader. Let's see, I'm sure they have some tape holding that lightsaber in. Let's get that out. And his lightsaber hilt. As a kid, I am sure I would have lost every one of these pieces. Or I'm sure I would have put them somewhere where I wouldn't forget and I'd never see them again. I'm a little more careful with how I handle my toys now. Let's see if we can pop him out of this plastic. And he sure did pop out of there. Come back, Anakin. And here we have Darth Vader from the Dark Times. Has a nice flowing cape made out of real cloth. And it is a huge one. Almost looks like Batman's cape. Highly articulated. His arms and his elbows move. His armor. He's got a little sash around his waist here too. that hooks to his belt. Has his life support system right here in the middle. His hands spin around. His head and his hips, his knees and his ankles all bend. And he can hold his lightsaber in his hand to make it look like he's about to do battle. And he can hold his lightsaber hilt to make it look like he's just fixing to do battle. This is a pretty detailed figure. I like the gray stripes they have in his armor on his shoulders there. And if you look really closely, his eyes do have a small red tint to them, like on the cover of this packaging. Very big cape and sash. It has a lot more cape than the original one did back in the day. You can fold it over there to make him look very menacing. Now let's check out that retro collection. Well, first let's look at the hands. This hand, he has a pointing finger. This hand is a balled up fist. And we've seen the hilt and the open lightsaber. Let's see if somewhere on his belt has a little notch. Nope. I thought because this has a little piece sticking out that it might go somewhere on his costume here, but I'm not seeing it right off. Oh, there we go. There it is right there on his hip. Let's see if I can get it to stay. And there he is with the lightsaber stuck to his hilt, or his belt, in case he needs to grab it real quick and fight off some Jedi. All right, now that one's done. Let's get this guy out of his box and see how a retro collection matches up with the vintage collection and how they both match up to an original from 1977. Here is the retro collection card with the distressed looking sides. Make it look like it's been in a storage unit or packed away in some box for a long, long time. I do like comparing the two action figures so you can see how much of the character that the retro collection sticker actually covers up. A good bit. But not enough so you don't know who it is. And on the back, it has the retro collection checklist of Obi Wan Kenobi, the Wandering Jedi, Darth Vader, the Dark Times, Ned B., Reva, the third sister, Grand Inquisitor, and fifth brother. I think I've opened up all of these except for the Grand Inquisitor and fifth brother and this Dark Times Darth Vader. So let's get this one out of the package. Now this one is more styled like the figures from the 70s and 80s that us old guys like to play with. Where we would rip that plastic right off and toss that card right out of the way. Just to get at the guy on the inside. And when we were kids, we definitely didn't have these multilingual warning labels or inside. It says, "Don't choke on your toys." Got it. No problem. Now this lightsaber is kind of threaded through here. Let me see if I can cut that plastic off of that a little bit to make it easier to extricate. There he is with the simple one. Let's fold those legs out. And we have us a Darth Vader from the dark times. He too has a cloth cape, which surprises me due to the vinyl one that came on the action figure in the old days, and the vinyl capes that had been coming on the retro collection figures I've opened up so far. I guess I'm really surprised this one has a cloth cape. But in reality, this Darth Vader doesn't have an old school match, because this is from the Obi Wan Kenobi show. And it's actually a different Darth Vader. But his cape is a little smaller than the vintage collection one. He has the simple articulation. You got to move his head around a little bit. His arms move up and down at the shoulders. And his hips just make him into an L shape. They fit into their flying ships and spaceships. Back in the day, real simple like that. You just fold him into an L and slide him right in. But this is from the Obi Wan Kenobi show, so this is a little different than the one from 1977. He too has some pretty good detail with his belt and his life support system. The sash around his legs is actually molded into the plastic of his legs. It's kind of what I expected on the vintage collection one. But that one is definitely a lot more detailed. And we have that classic looking red lightsaber. Slides right into his grip. And he's ready to battle the Jedi. And he's just looking around for Obi-Wan. He's got to be around here somewhere. This guy, too, has a little better pronounced red eyes than the vintage collection one. And there we have the retro collection. So now let's get a look at all three of them together and see how they compare. Here we have a side-by-side comparison of the original Darth Vader from 1977. This vintage collection, Darth Vader, The Dark Times from Obi Wan Kenobi show. And this retro collection, Darth Vader, The Dark Times from also the Obi Wan Kenobi show. You can see that their costumes, minus the cape, are all pretty similar. Each have the life support system, with the newer versions adding a little more color with the red and green buttons. And if this one had the red and green buttons, they must have wore off. But the armor is very similar among all three, with noted details like the detailed stripes painted on the vintage collection and the more detailed belt. Well, this one has the belt. It's not quite as detailed as the vintage collection one, but that's to be expected. The vintage collection also has that monstrous Batman-like cape, and this one has a cape as well, but not quite as big as the other one. And the cape that came with the original one was the vinyl cape, which was seen on a lot of the other retro collection action figures that we've seen so far. Now this guy had the arm with the L-shaped lightsaber that slid in and out of his arm to make it look like it extended in battle. But I don't have that one nor the cape for this one anymore. So there we have the original Darth Vader, Darth Vader the Vintage Collection, and Darth Vader the Retro Collection. And these two from the Obi Wan Kenobi show. Thanks for joining us today on Plastic Nostalgic, where all toys are nostalgic. Eventually. And if you want to see some more unboxing of some soon-to-be nostalgic toys, be sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below and tell me who your favorite Star Wars retro figure has been so far. See y'all next time.